Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the GobFest recap. And we are now on day three. Now, if you've been following, there was a huge gap between day two and day three recording. And the reason for that is because I decided I would get COVID and I sounded horrible. So, not the time to do a video. I'm feeling much better now, which I'm so glad about because I got sick. Last weekend, and with the regulation in Alberta is if you're vaccinated, you got to isolate for 5 days before you can go back to your day to day. So then that was me going back on Wednesday. Unfortunately, my birthday was on Tuesday, so we spent that at home, not doing a whole lot. And then Melcon is starting Friday. So I was so grateful that I am feeling better and able to host and attend Melcon because it would have been a Sal Melcon. So, yeah. But let's talk about GobFest and how the third day had gone. So I took this picture in the morning. That's my name tag that I got at GobFest, and I'm wearing my GobFest t-shirt that I purchased. Um, and the first game that we ended up playing that day, and I had signed up for it, was Furnace. Furnace, I purchased it a few months ago, but I had never played it yet. So I figured it'd be a great opportunity to play it. So I watched a tutorial video actually before heading over, and it looked fairly straightforward and interesting. So we ended up playing it. And I gotta say, I'm surprised at how simple this game was to play and learn, and quick. It's a quick game. And what's really interesting, so every player has a color that they have. So you have different tokens of the same color, and they're different size, and they go from 1 to 4. And you'll take turn placing these tokens on these different cards that are available for you to acquire or activate. So if you acquire them, they'll go into your tableau and you can use them to do the action that's on it. And the action will do different things. Either you'll collect something or you can transform one resource into another. And there's different things that you can do that way. Or if you don't acquire the card, but you bid on the because the way it'll work is you'll put a token on a card. Whoever has the highest token on that card wins the card. Now, you cannot play the same number as another player on the same card. So if somebody put a 3, you can't put a 3. You could go 2, 1, or 4. And you can also not put 2 tokens on the same card. So you can only bid once per card. So let's say somebody's put a 3, I put a 4, then I win that card, and I would be the one who gets the card at the end. But before I do that, whoever puts the 3 gets to activate the top portion of that card. And that could be that they get to collect a different resource. Maybe they collect iron. And because they've put a 3 on it, they get to do that action 3 times. Now, if another player was playing and they had put a 2, then they would get to do it 2 times. So he would collect 2 iron, he would collect 3 iron, I get the card, I don't collect any iron. So sometimes you don't want to win the card. Sometimes you just want to activate the ability that's on it. And activating it with a fairly high number is good because you get to do it more times, as long as somebody else wins that card. So it's a really interesting, on how to decide which token to put where. It was really neat, very interesting. And this is an engine building as well, right? So once you have the cards and this one allows you to collect iron, this one allows you to transform iron into and I forget what the other thing is, let's say oil barrel. And then this one allows you to sell oil barrel and collect gold. Now gold doesn't give you the ability of anything, but it's the victory point. So at the end of the game, whoever has the most gold is the winner. So you're trying to get to collect these resources, transform what you need to in order to get gold. So because I have this thing, so maybe, okay, I'm trying to collect as many iron as I can so I can transform them into these or swap them for the oil drums so that I can sell them for gold. And then, so you're kind of, okay, now I've got this. I'm built. It's like, okay, so I don't want to win that card, but that card's going to give me the oil. So that would be even better because then I don't have to transform it. So I'll put that to try to collect oil. And, so just trying to build that up, collecting the resources, swapping around what you need to swap around, and then changing thing for gold. It's interesting. And it's quick. I think this game played in maybe 20 minutes. So, and I'll show you a picture of what the game looked like. Now, this isn't the game I played because once we got there, we played the game. It was quick, done super quick, and and I always take a picture, but I had forgotten my phone in the car. So, and this is also my bad adulting moment. So I quickly ran to the car, grabbed my phone, ran back inside to take a picture of the other game that was being played before they put it away. So I would have a picture to share with you guys. Now, in my hurry, I think I might have forgot to lock my door. I did end up going back to the car like an hour and a half later, but just in time to notice that somebody had gone through my car, moved the board games out of the way, thank God, and to steal my suitcase and my shoes. So that's how I lost my board game t-shirt, my board game tank tops, my glasses, my brand new makeup brushes that I had gotten. And like as the day went on, I was like, oh shoot, my t-shirts. I was like, they took my t-shirts. And I was like, oh, a book. I had bought a series. And not it wasn't great, but I was in the middle of book one. And book one is gone, and I have book two and book three now. And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna get rid of these. These aren't worth it now. I'm like, but it was more of a bother than a real nuisance. Oh, my hair straightener. My hair straightener's gone too. But it's so it was upsetting, but it was more darn it. I'm really grateful though that they moved the board games out of the way to get to the suitcase because I had a brand new in shrink creature comfort in there. I had a whole bag of games that I had brought over to sell at the flea market. So obviously these weren't gamers that went through my car. But yeah, lesson learned. Lock your doors. Anyways, after Furnace, I ended up playing Tsuro. So the couple of guys that I played Furnace with had kind of grabbed a couple games and they were about to set up. I was like, "Oh, do you guys mind if I join?" And they hadn't played them before, so I was able to kind of teach it, and then it went a little bit faster that way. So Tsuro is called the Game of the Path. This is a simple game, but it is so fun and it looks so good. So the way that it works is everybody gets this little stone. It's made out of plastic, but like it's the shape of a stone, and you kind of put that along the edge of a board somewhere. You have two tiles, and you'll pick one to place, and each of those tiles will have that little white line that'll go somewhere. So you'll put a tile in front of your player or your little stone, and you follow the path until you come to the end, and then you'll stop there. Then you draw a new tile and the next player goes. So everybody kind of moves their stone around. Then you add a new tile and you follow the path further. And you keep going, creating. And at some point, you'll add a tile that'll connect with other tiles. And then all of a sudden, you're moving far. And like, oh, okay, now I'm over here. The goal of the game is to try to not connect with another stone and not fall off the board. So you're trying to stay on this path for as long as you can. Last man standing is the winner. And unfortunately, we were doing all this, and then all of a sudden, I had two tiles that I had the option to. Me and the other player were side by side, while the other guy was a little bit further on the other side. And the option was that we either both fell off the board or collided with each other. So I was like, oh, well, I guess this is it. So then the other player ended up winning. Simple game. It plays quick, but it is a lot of fun. After that, we played Cascadia. And this is another one that is so quick and simple to play. You have the tiles, you have tokens, and you'll have four tiles with four tokens associated, like one token associated with each. And on your turn, you'll take one of each. Now, with the tile, they each have different terrains on it, and you're building this map. Now, you're going to score the largest cluster that you have for each type of terrain. So you're trying to keep them together as much as possible so that you can score more. Plus, if your cluster for forest, let's say, is bigger than everybody else, then you get a bonus for that. So you're trying to create these large clusters of these terrains. And then at the same time, you're collecting these token. Now on each tile, there's a little image that shows what animal can go on there. So it'll be one, two, or three different type of animals that could go on it. So when you place a token, if I have let's say the bear token, it can only go on a tile that has the bear symbol on it. And each animal at the beginning of the game will have a card that's drawn to shows how or what pattern they need to have in order to score. So could be that the bear scores if there's, two or three or four of them together. And the larger the cluster of bear, the larger the points. Or it could be that they score if there's no other bears around. Or, so it has different, depending on which card got drawn, there's different requirements to score them. And you'll have that for each animal. So you'll place your tile, then you place your animal, trying to create these patterns. So it's like a puzzle underneath and a puzzle on top as well. There's some tiles that you can only put one type of animal. And if you do put that one on there, then you gain a pine cone. The pine cones are worth points at the end of the game, or you can discard it so that when you can draw a tile with a token that's not associated with each other, so you can kind of break the grouping that is there. You keep playing until you run out of tiles, and then you score your map that you created. It's so neat. Now, Cascadia comes with a pouch for all the tokens. And when I played this version, I'm not sure whose it was, but they had a second pouch for the tiles as well. So instead of stacking the tiles, you just drew in there and pulled new tiles, which is so amazing. It's so clever. So I've added a pouch to my own copy now just to have two pouch going, because now setup is super quick and to get playing is super quick. Not that it was very long, but this makes it so much quicker. And it was great. It was a fun game, and I think the guys that I ended up playing with both enjoyed them as well. After that, I ended up playing Parks. Actually, in my area, my local game store is called Pandora's Books, and Leslie, who's one of the owner and runs the store, was actually at GobFest as well. So I ended up sitting with her to play this game. I had heard cute things about this one, but I hadn't played it before. Now, components in this game are amazing. And if you look at this, look at the trays. Those it comes with two trays with the components for each one, and the tray has a lid so that things don't move around when you store them up or vertical, whatever you want to do. And with this one here, is you're going on a hike, and so you have your hiking trail. So you have like a start, and then you have like randomly put different tiles and then the end. And each round, so you'll do the run round and it starts with a smaller one. And then you add a new one. So the hike gets longer and longer and longer. And each location that you go to has a different action you can do. And what's really interesting, because each player has two hikers that starts at the beginning. On your turn, you move your hiker to a spot and you do that action that's there. Now, it could be collecting resources. It can be, different things. Most of the time it is collecting resources. But there's ones that allow you to kind of stop and take a picture or different things like that. So you go and then you'll do that action. Then the next person goes. But when it's your turn, you can't go where there's another hiker already. Now, if you do, you're going to have to spend your campfire card to allow you to share that space with another hiker. Now, because you spent it, you only get one per hike, so then you can't stop on a different one. So you'd be like, okay, well, I wanted to go there, but you're there, and this one would have been okay, but you're there too, so I'm going to have skip ahead and go here. Now you are vacating the spot you were on as well. So kind of as they move forward, it moves things as okay, well, I'm all the way up here, so I'm going to stay there and move my second hiker to go and hit the spots that just opened up. So it kind of has that really neat movement mechanism to kind of figuring out where you're going to go. It says, okay, well, I didn't want to spend my campfire yet because I think at the end of the hike here, I will be needing that. So it's like, so it's interesting trying to decide because I really wanted to do this action, but now I'm wasting it here, but you're there as well. So it's neat. It is really neat. It's pretty. And you're collecting these resources. And once you reach the end of the hike, you can go visit a certain park, and then depending on the park that you're going to go visit, you got to have the proper resources to spend to go and get that park card, but then it's worth points to you. So you're collecting that, trying to collect the proper resources so you can collect the park card that you want, as long as it's still available when you get to the end. And if it's not available, then there's different things you can do at the end as well. It's a simple game, but it was neat. Now, one thing we weren't doing right is once the last player is in, because I was always the last hiker somehow, and then the last player, and I would just quickly, kind of slowly take my turn and hit all the different things that go in. But no, when the last hiker is in, you got to go in. You don't actually get to dilly-dally and do all the actions at the end, and we weren't doing that right. So I ended up winning this game, and I think that's because, yeah, I was cheating. I didn't know. But it was neat. And you could do like kind of get the camera card. And then when you have the camera card, you can take pictures, and pictures are worth points. So I had tons of pictures. But you can steal the camera card from another player. That's one of the location where you can go and steal the camera. But I was always in the back, so I would steal it back. It was interesting. It was a neat game. It looked really cute. It's a simple, cutesy game, kind of more like filler weight, I would say, but it was neat. Then I played Hack.Jack, which is a prototype card game from my friend Keith that created Diceborn Heroes. And this one here is interesting. So you're both hackers, and you are trying to hack all these different things. And at some point in your card, you'll have like a spyware that boots you out. So like if you get that, then you're done. Your cards are gone. But you're collecting cards, you're collecting tokens, and then the tokens that you keep are good because they're going to allow you to score the cards that you have that matches. But the game is also kind of a blackjack type of game as well. So you have a gold card that you have, and it has like different numbers, and you got like the thing that kind of like, okay, we're doing this is a goal right now, but you can have cards that'll manipulate the number that you have. It's like, okay, I see that we're trying to get as close to 19 as we can. You're at 18. I have a card here that will make the number go down. So now we're actually trying to reach 17. So that makes you bust. So your cards are gone. I win. I get to draw the tokens. And it's like, it's interesting. It's really interesting. I really enjoyed this one. Seems to me that I really did not win like at all, but it was a lot of fun. After that, we played Beyond Baker Street. My friend Keith, as I mentioned, had purchased that game that day, which plays a lot like Hanabi, the firework game. So with this one is you have your hand of card. There's different type of clues that you have that have different numbers associated with it. And this is Sherlock Holmes based, right? So you'll have three cards that'll come up, and it kind of has a number on it. So and different type of symbol. Now it could have similar symbol than others, but you'll flip a card over. It says, okay, this location here needs to collect 20 spyglass or whatever. So it's like, oh, okay. So, but my cards are facing out. I don't know what I got. Neither do you. So on my turn, I can tell you is like, okay, these cards are spyglass, or these are footprints, or these are, I can tell you what's what, or I could be like, hey, these two are six. So with that information, that okay, well, this is a spyglass. I know I need spyglass there. There's none there yet, so I'm gonna play this down, and it takes Hanabi and it makes it into a game instead of just a mechanism. Now, this game is hard because my memory sucks. You tell me something, I'm like, okay, wait, I forget. What did he say? And then not only are you like trying to remember what it is, but you're trying to build up to a certain number, and you don't want to go over because then it's reset. So it's very tight. And you have the board, and then you're playing trying to reach out, and then you have Sherlock Holmes kind of because you're competing against Sherlock Holmes, and he moves forward every time you kind of give a clue, then he does gets to move forward, and you're trying to get this resolved before he reaches the end. It's interesting. It's hard. This game, honestly, you need to have your full brain power. Don't play this on day 3 of GobFest. Our brain was fried. We were, I don't think we resolved any of them. We did horrible. But it's neat. And then I played Awkward Guests. I had heard about this one a little bit, but I didn't really know what it was about. And we had talked to my friend Peter that was there, and he had brought it and was like, "Oh, well, if you want to set up a game, we'd like to play." And he's like, "Yeah, we'll play it at the end of the day." And then we kind of got it set up. And oh my God, I am impressed with this game. In fact, I have since purchased my own copy. But the way that it works, this is Clue. So this is Clue. And you have, but this is a much better version of Clue. And then he had the app. So you selected the app, set up a scenario, and it told him which card to pull out. So he goes through and pull all these different cards, and they go in there, they get shuffled, and those are the clues in the thing. But it's not like Clue, because with Clue, like okay, you'll show a card. Oh, okay, it's the dagger. So you can cross off the dagger because it's in place. So it's not that one. This isn't like that. You'll see a card and it'll say, it's the police officer says there was no traces of blunt force trauma. So based on that, we can remove all the weapons that are marked to be blunt force, like that would be blunt weapons. Okay, well, it's not the hammer because that's marked that it's a blunt, and then it's like, so you cross those off, and then it'll be like another one is like, hey, the waitress says that nobody came through the shed from the shed to the kitchen. So then you put an X on that path, and you know that whoever the murderer was didn't go that way. And then, so if they didn't go through the shed, then all the weapons from the shed isn't the weapon that would have been used in this murder. Like, so you're actually getting clues of a crime and that you're trying to solve. Um, it's neat. And then you have like your little sheet, and you kind of like, okay, and then you have to find out who the murderer is, what their motive was, and what weapon they ended up using, kind of figuring out by the path is like, hey, well, they didn't go that way, so they didn't use these weapons. So then maybe they used that. That's from the bedroom. They could have used this. Their revolver was kept in the bedroom. So is it oh no, you got a clue about the revolver. Okay, so it's not the revolver. Like it's so cool. It is so cool. And then so you have your clues, and then you take turn kind of asking about two aspect, either two suspect or two rooms or one of each. And then you'll put like these little arrows, and everybody looks at their clues, and then each clues has a number giving to them, so their value. And I'll be like, okay, well, I can give you these two clues. That's about what you're asking about. Total value is 4. So if you want those clues, you need to give me clues from your own hand that tallies up to 4 or more, and then we trade clues. Now I have these new clues, they have those clues, and maybe I have like this really good clue, and then I'm like, I'm making sure I'm not giving this one out, so I'm keeping this information for me, and I'm trading the other stuff. It's neat. It is neat. I played it with my spouse and my kids, and I loved it. My kids enjoyed it okay. My spouse is like, I don't know, so on it, but I love crime type games and whodunit games, and this one is right up my alley, and it is amazing, and I'm so glad I found my own copy. Now during GobFest as well, they had a flea market. And I went there with a few girlfriends, and then while we're at the flea market, they were having a bet on who could guess how many games I purchased that weekend. And well, the number is 25. I've purchased 25 games, but I did sell a few. Not 25, but I sold a few anyways. So my collection did go up a little bit. And then when I got home, I stacked them all up. So here are the games that I've purchased. So some of them were from the auction the day before, and a lot of them were from this from this from this flea market. Let me see if I can show you closer here all the games that are on here. That's not very helpful all that much, but so since I've played Cacao is so good. It's a tile, like a tile laying game, and like you always have to put like your workers or your village tiles, and then the plantation and the other type of tiles. And then depending on where your villagers are, it'll activate. So you're kind of trying to place them specifically to activate what you want. And it was really neat. Purchased Kero, and I hadn't heard about it. And I was like, it was at the end. There was still a few games. I was like, okay, I'll grab this one. I got home and I opened this box and I squealed out loud. Like Lee's looking at me like, what? And this game has these truck sand timers and they look amazing, and it's like a big truck that is a sand timer that you utilize in this two-player game. And I haven't played the game yet, but components are out of this world. I bought Keyper because I have Keyflower, which is one of my favorite games, and I love the Keyflower game, and it's made me want to have the rest of the Key series. So Keyper was there, so I ended up purchasing this one, and this one is another one that's blown me out of my mind because you have this board that's because with Keyflower you have like the three or the different season you'll go through with Keeper as well. But you have this board and it folds. So you have it and it folds like this. And then it folds like this. And it folds. And you can fold this up forever. It never folds like where, like, I don't know how it flips itself over and then you could just keep folding and I don't understand. Like I have folded and watched this thing so closely, my brain can't comprehend how this is even possible. But it's so cool. And then on the season that you have, and again, I haven't played this game, it was just from a quick video I watched. So on the spring, you'll make sure that the spring symbol is on, and depending on what you want to fold to have, then you'll have that. Then you fold to the summer, so you get the, and then you, it looks so cool. I can't wait to play it. I ended up purchasing Zombies and the Humans expansion. No, actually, that one might have been from the flea market. I bought Visitors. Visitors, a game that I had played at one point, which is Dixie Dixit-ish, but it isn't. And then one person is the alien, and then the kid um kind of has an idea of what how to communicate with this alien, but everybody else doesn't. We're like FBI agent or CIA agents or different things like that, trying to get through to this alien to capture it. But this alien, like, he has a rule, and it could be anything, and you don't know. When you have all these cards that have like different items, and the alien could be like, his rule is that whatever you give him has to be round or have round shapes. And you don't know this, so you're like, okay, well, so you'll try with a plate. Oh, that worked. Okay, good. Well, maybe it's like kitchen stuff, so you send a fork. Okay, the fork didn't work. Okay, well, that's not it. Then what? Okay, we'll go back to plate. Um, I don't understand. Is it porcelain then? Maybe it's like like, and you're trying to figure out what this kind of, not clue, but what the, what the condition is that allows something to go through, and you have no idea. And I've played this and I sucked so bad, and it was like, I have no idea what's going on, but it was neat. So yeah. I ended up purchasing Underwater Cities that weekend. I just picked it up there, so that's in the pile. Same as Creature Comfort. We ended up going and hunting this one. Call of Cthulhu is a game that's on there. I bought the game Oceanis. I don't remember if that's how it's pronounced, but it looks super cool. I got one that's called Einstein, and it looks so neat because each player plays a different Einstein, like whether he was young or kind of a little bit older, or middle age or really old. And you have all these tiles that you're placing down, and all these tiles have these different formulas on different things that he was kind of studying. And I haven't played this game, but it looked amazing. I ended up buying, oh, and I can't read what it says on there, Kodama, which is like you're building a tree, but it's a card game. And you have like your big card, that's the trunk, and it has like branches, and then you play these cards to kind of add the branches to it. I haven't played it yet. I want to. It looked amazing. Now, the person that was selling this also had Kodama 3D, where it's like you're actually poking branches into these cardboard pieces. And that one looked too gimmicky to me, so I wasn't into wanting to do that one. I bought Istanbul, the dice game. Never played it. Heard great things. Actually, Carla, that I do the podcast with, was telling me about it. It's made her top 10, top 9 game a few times. So, um, yeah, I don't know. So I scored pretty good. I got a lot of different games. I'm really excited to play some of them. I've played a few, but so yeah, I got a lot more to play, which is okay because this weekend is Malcon, which is my own board game convention. And this is the first year that I'm actually taking it out to a public location. I rented a hall, so I kind of opened it up to everybody. I'm so grateful that I'm not sick anymore, so I can go to my own Melcon. And I'm hoping it's going to be an amazing weekend. But then that was it for GobFest. So I'll have to be sure to go and attend next year because it was so much fun. And if you've been kind of considering, I don't know if I want to go to GobFest, is it worthwhile? It was. Be sure to go. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, I am boardgame_mama. On Facebook, my Facebook page is Board Game Mama and Friends Are Playing All the Games. And I do have a podcast called The Board Game Specialist that I do with my friend Carla, and we post every week. And we can always do top 9 lists. And then on YouTube, my YouTube channel is Board Game Mama. So be sure to stay tuned because I'll be doing a review video as well for Melcon, both on this YouTube channel as well as on the podcast. So I'm hoping to get a lot of games played for that as well. So